Have you heard of the term wood movement, but you're not really sure what that means? Here's a practical example of why wood movement is really important to understand for both woodworking and home improvement projects. Hi, I'm Scott. I design, build, and repair woodworking pieces. I'm opening up the doors to my shop to help you become a better woodworker. I've just picked up this table from a customer, and my job is to rebuild the tabletop. Now, this tabletop has been destroyed by at least 2 repairs as far as I can tell. The reason is because those repairs didn't take into account wood movement. The original piece was built with blocks securing the top here, and the one back here was flexible. Now, wood doesn't move along the grain, it moves across the grain. So the original craftsmen that put this together understood that. They anchored the table here where there's a seam and we can put leaves in it. But over here, they made a flexible attachment that would allow this whole tabletop to move back and forth. Now, at some point, someone decided that this tabletop was loose and that wasn't appropriate. So they drove screws underneath here, and what that did is it fixed the top and it didn't allow the wood to move. And so when this wood had to shrink, it ended up cracking all the joints. There are actually spots here that are split on the ends as well. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, someone decided to put a few screws through the top and then fill those holes. And then on top of that, someone decided to put nails almost every 4 inches all the way around the table. And this is the pile of finishing nails I pulled out. So here, there were at least 2 people, if not 3, that tried to repair this tabletop without understanding wood movement. Here you can see all the cracks in the table. These ones are fairly close. And if I show you that up close, you can see if I squeeze that tight, that is a sealed joint. But because of the way this was repaired, here are these nails that went right through into the apron. It just wouldn't allow the wood to move at all. Now, if I take a couple of these away, I'll show you how the tabletop was originally attached. This block here was joined right here. And what it allowed it to do, the table, was to move this way. So all of that wood, when the humidity would hit it and it would absorb it and it would expand, it would travel this way and this would allow it to move. But by someone driving in screws and nails in this apron all the way around, it just didn't allow that wood to move back and forth. So when the wood needed to expand, it would push as much as it could, but when it went to contract in the wintertime and it was dry air, it would just all crack to pieces. So this has been repaired a number of times over the years. There's wood filler in here to disguise some of that cracking. But again, wood filler is only going to be a temporary fix if you don't have the proper flexibility in the table. Here's an example of a crack that's come down the table here because of it being in a fixed point. So when this wood was looking to expand or contract, it would be this point here that was holding it in place, and the wood cracked because of that. Here's another example of a crack, and this is where this had split. This is where there was a screw driven in. There's a nail hole there, nail hole there, nail hole there. So this is an example here that I really want you to understand that wood does move, and if you don't let it move, you'll end up destroying the piece that either you built or you repaired. Even in home improvements where you've got pieces of wood either in walls or on ledges, you need to make sure that you allow that movement to happen to avoid something like this. You can't avoid seasonal wood movement if you use plywood. This is a cherry plywood cabinet I made with solid edging on the face. And when you build something like this well, you can barely tell that it's a mix of plywood and solid wood. This bar cabinet's another example of using plywood. This is a plywood panel inside a door. The plywood panel won't move. Now, if you're using solid material in a door, you'll need to make sure you leave room inside the grooves to allow that panel to expand and contract. And that way, the door will stay intact over the years. Here's one more example of a failed glue joint. This is because the craftsman didn't know about seasonal movement. And 20 years ago, that craftsman was me building this table. I screwed this to the apron without any consideration of wood movement. I've got a few tips for you about wood movement. But first, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps others find this video. And I'd love to hear your comments below. So a few tips for wood movement. Remember, wood moves across the grain, and you have to take that into account when building something. If you're doing a repair and you're not sure how to handle it, please take it to a pro and you won't destroy an antique like someone did with this. Another thing you can do is keep your furniture in air-conditioned spaces in the summertime so the humidity, which causes the wood to expand, isn't as contrasting as what it would be otherwise. That will help minimize the amount of changes in the wood. I hope you found this useful. Until next time, enjoy your time in the workshop.